The deep web nightmare. Jack had always been curious about the unknown. A quiet, reserved teenager with a knack for technology, he spent most of his free time tinkering with computers and delving into the darkest corners of the internet. His friends often joked about his fascination with the bizarre, but Jack was unbothered. He thrived on mystery. It all started on a Friday evening. Jack's best friend, Mark, came over to hang out. They'd been inseparable since grade school. And while Jack was the tech geek, Mark was more of a thrill seeker. Over slices of greasy pizza and the glow of Jack's computer screen, Mark brought up the topic of the deep web. Ever been on it? Mark asked, leaning back in Jack's creaky desk chair. Jack shook his head. I've read about it. Pretty wild stuff there. You know, illegal markets, hacking forums. Mark smirked. Exactly why we should check it out. Come on, you've got the skills. Let's dig a little deeper tonight. Jack hesitated. He'd heard horror stories about the deep web places where humanity's darkest impulses festered. But Mark's enthusiasm was contagious. Against his better judgment, Jack agreed. Using a secure browser, Jack navigated to the murky waters of the deep web. The interface was unassuming, almost anticlimactic, but the sense of danger was palpable. They scrolled through forums, bizarre chat rooms, and cryptic marketplaces, selling everything from counterfeit passports to disturbing videos. It was unsettling, but nothing they couldn't handle until they stumbled upon a link titled The Watcher's Game. Sounds ominous, Mark said, grinning. Click it. Jack hesitated, but clicked anyway. The screen went black for a moment before text appeared. Welcome to The Watcher's Game. Only the bold survive. Underneath was a single button. Enter. This is probably some elaborate prank, Jack muttered, though his hands were clammy. Only one way to find out, Mark urged. Jack clicked enter. The screen displayed a live video feed. At first, it was hard to discern what they were looking at a dimly lit suburban street. The camera's view was stationary, as if someone had mounted it on a tripod across the street from a house. Creepy, Mark whispered. Jack's stomach churned. He recognized the street. It was his neighborhood. The camera was pointed directly at his house. What the hell? Jack said, his voice trembling. Mark leaned in closer. Dude, is that your house? Before Jack could answer, a message popped up on the screen. You are now part of the game. Follow the rules or face the consequences. A countdown began. 10, 09, 09.59, 09.58. What's this supposed to mean? Mark asked, his voice rising with panic. Jack frantically typed into the chat box below the video feed. What do you want? The response was immediate. Rule number 1, do not leave your house. Rule number 2, do not call the police. Rule number 3, play along. This isn't funny anymore, Mark said, standing up. Turn it off. Jack tried to close the browser, but nothing worked. The screen seemed locked on the live feed. His phone buzzed on the desk. Breaking the rules will have consequences. How do they have my number? Jack's voice cracked. He stood looking out his window. The street was eerily quiet, the kind of quiet that made every creak of the house sound amplified. Mark paced the room. This is just some psycho messing with us. Let's leave, man. Jack shook his head. Rule number 1, if they're watching us, they'll know. The countdown reached 0. The feed changed. Now, the camera angle was inside Jack's house, focused on the living room. The realization hit him like a freight train. They're inside, Jack whispered. Mark grabbed a baseball bat from the corner of the room. We're not just sitting here. Before Jack could respond, a new message appeared on the screen. Rule number 4, do not engage. Mark ignored it. He stormed out of Jack's room, bat in hand. Jack watched the feed as Mark entered the living room. The camera's view shifted, tracking Mark's movements. Then, the screen went black. Mark? Jack called, his voice trembling. No response. Jack's phone buzzed again. Another text. You broke the rules. Consequences follow. Heart pounding. Jack crept to his bedroom door. He could hear faint shuffling downstairs. Against every instinct, he stayed put, remembering the rules. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the screen lit up again. The feed showed the living room. Empty now, but the baseball bat lay on the floor. Mark? Jack whispered again. A shadow moved across the frame. Jack froze. The figure was tall, dressed in black, with a featureless mask covering their face. They stood motionless, staring directly at the camera. Another message appeared. Level 2 begins. The screen displayed a new countdown. 20 o'clock, 1959, 1958. Jack's mind raced. He couldn't leave, couldn't call for help, and now Mark was missing. His only option was to survive whatever twisted game this was. He began searching his room for anything he could use as a weapon. His heart sank when he realized his laptop camera light was on. They were watching him too. For the next 20 minutes, Jack endured a psychological assault. The screen showed various angles of his house, revealing more masked figures entering. They moved silently, strategically, as if hunting. Jack stayed hidden in his room, clutching a screwdriver he'd found in his desk drawer. When the countdown reached 0, the feed cut to Jack's bedroom door. The handle jiggled. "No," he whispered, backing into a corner. The door creaked open, but no one entered. Jack held his breath, his grip on the screwdriver tightening. A phone buzz broke the silence. It wasn't his. He glanced at the door and saw a phone lying on the floor, its screen lit with a message. "Congratulations, Jack. You've passed level 2. Ready for the final?" Jack's vision blurred with tears. "What do you want from me?" The phone buzzed again. "Face your fears, or lose The feed changed once more. It showed Mark, tied to a chair in the basement, unconscious but alive. A masked figure stood behind him, holding a level 3. "Save your Jack bolted out of his room, screwdriver in hand. The house was dark, the air heavy with dread. Every step echoed as he made his way to the basement door. He hesitated, then descended the creaking stairs. The basement was cold and dimly lit by a single bulb swinging overhead. Mark was there, just as the feed had shown. But the masked figure was gone. Mark groaned, stirring. "We need to get out of here." Jack would. A voice echoed from the shadows. "Game over." Before Jack could react, the bulb flickered out, plunging the basement into darkness. He heard footsteps gripping Mark's arm. Jack fumbled his way back to the stairs. The footsteps quickened. Panic surged as they stumbled up the stairs.